Abusuanzaka breaking news. Abusuani nyina from Parliament Service, Parliament House, Accra. Oshe date now say attention message Mensa adequate. Dear Madam Chairperson, occurrence of vacancy in the membership of Parliament. And to make say in exercise of the power conferred and the duty imposed on the Clerk of Parliament by Article 1125 as amended of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. As amended, I, Ebenezer Ahume Giato, the Clerk to Parliament, do hereby formally notify you of occurrence of vacancy in the membership of Parliament, occasioned by the order of High Court Tamale for the rerun of the Kpandai parliamentary election, given on 24th day of November 2025. The notification is pursuant to the service of court order on the Clerk to Parliament as the fourth respondent in the suit numbered according to the notice is hereby given. Let us say officially the Clerk of Parliament I then announce declare a Kpandai seat in vacant and on the official letter and as a report formally report at the Komaji Mensa to make sure that there is a rerun on a year Kpandai seat. You got a discussion on this from Solomon Owusu and Dr. Zato.
Party wins. And then once that happens, you go and legislate and the judges will support you. Now, that seems to be, there seems to be a calculated plan of that.
Once there are discrepancies, how do you say that's a true reflection of what the people feel?
No, that's what I'm saying. If the discrepancies affected some polling stations, if they affect some polling stations, not all polling stations, so if you say some polling, then we can say, okay, those polling stations, let's say the results there were discredited. Those polling stations, the results there are polluted. They could then say, let's remove that, and then I will understand that. But it didn't happen in all polling stations.
Okay.
But as at the time they were transferring the results from Kpandai to Tamale, there were some results. So, and one of the things that most usually once you count at each polling station, your agents have their pink sheets. And all the polling, before they come to coalition center, so by the time you are traveling to a coalition center, you know your stand.
Okay.
So for me, that's what I don't understand. Why all these things have to be thrown away? Go, look, there's one thing too that these elections are not cheap. Running them is not cheap. And so then the political and the security risk and issues that they put us through is not easy. So you shouldn't let people begin to game the electoral system. Because that is a dangerous thing to do. To realize that if you, I'm not one by game the system, you are gaming the system when you realize that, okay, I've got all the pink sheets. So before you even come to the police center, everybody has their pink sheets. And that's why some of the candidates celebrating already. Because the pink sheets are there. If I'm beginning to game the system that, okay, look, if I cause mayhem here, prevent the coalition, then there will be a re-election, other election one place. That means you are now gaming the system, and we shouldn't try to reward people for doing that. So the case is going to appeal. I wanted to go through the process and let them. But part of the integrity of our elections is but the fact that election results will come at the polling stations. And we should try as much as possible to let the people decide and not move that to the law courts.
Okay. Solomon, let me bring you in on this. This is a time when the EC chairperson is being asked to be asked by the president, and then all of this is coming out.
So first of all, I disagree entirely with what my brother Zato said this morning. We cannot shortchange the integrity of any election on the altar of someone declared it at the police station when they were fought with a lot of irregularities. While we do that, what we will be doing is to destroy our democracy. Then we can just go and see an electoral officer compromise the system, declares, and that's it. It is the reason why our elections are governed by laws. If you take the CI 127, if you take the Constitution, it prescribes how elections must be run. You cannot be a returning officer or the district electoral officer and decide on your own volition where coalition has to be done without the active participation of all interested parties. And so any civilized person that takes part in any election, what to do is that you don't take up arms or pick up arms But rather, you do what any civilized person would do. You go to court and test the laws of the land. And that is why the Constitution is so clear in Article 99 that you go to the High Court. On this occasion, the affected person went to the High Court to challenge the validity of the election of Mr. Now, he made his case. Nimam also opposed. They argued it in court. And at the end of the day, the court says no. The whole thing has to be rerun. And sitting behind and going into the membrane of the judge, I think he did a good job.
That you still spend money instead of just targeting where the problems happen.
Because I have listed, first of all, let me put this on record that electoral officer has to be arrested, if indeed it's true that he compromised the integrity of this of the electoral process. I said it with Ablikuma. No, people didn't take it serious. That unless and until we begin to prosecute electoral officers, this willfully causing financial loss to the state will not stop, will not cease. Now what it means is that political actors will just go and see electoral officers, compromise them, and at the end of the day, you and our tax revenue has to be. So he has to be prosecuted to serve as a lesson. Because we did not beg anybody to be a returning officer. You applied and you decided to apply the laws of the land to be the returning officer. Now, they went to court. The plaintiff went to court that 41 out of the 152 polling stations result has to be what? Annulled. Now, I listened to Ndam. I've been trying to get the figures from the Electoral Commission, but it's not current. Where he said that the 41 polling stations contains more than 10,000 votes. You understand? Now, according to him, these were areas he won massively. So if you were a judge and someone won massively at 41 polling stations, and the other opponent comes in and says, look, let's go ahead and annul only those areas, would you have been fair to the incumbent? Because that means that the defender, the plaintiff, will be having his votes where he won intact, without going to contest in the areas where the other side won and to make sure that he wins. And the guy there's only 3,700 something.
Right.
So I agree with the judge entirely. And I've also listened to both the lawyer and the current MP themselves, where they have not raised any legal issues with the judgment. They haven't. All I've heard them say is that, look, a week to the judgment or the ruling, they had some NDC supporters in Kpandai saying that there was going to be rerun. And for them, that has compromised the integrity of the process. Now, it is also not factually accurate that beyond, after the 7 December elections, we have had one court ruling. There have been 2 court rulings in favor of the New Patriotic Party. You remember the Okwasi East one? Why the court upheld. In fact, if we were going to go by the analysis or the position of my brother Zato, what it meant was that when the Okwasi East returning officer declared Boachi as the winner of the elections, that should have stood. The NDC candidate as the winner of the elections in Okwasi East, that should have stood. But the court said no, that was all right, and so reversed it. In the case of Insawam, the NDC challenged it, the court affirmed that another umbrella won it. That's the beauty of democracy. Because you see, people, and once again, people kill at dawn to go and vote. It would be a travesty of justice that they voted for Motiti only for an individual, for his selfishness, for his greed, to shortchange, to change the will of the people of that particular constituency. That will amount to genocide. It's more than genocide.
Okay.
So I agree that if it did not go well, they have appealed. I believe that they have a solid case. I don't have any interest. If our parties, final certificate are landed, we will contest this election and we will win, because what the 2 political parties are doing, it is either here or there. They are not.
You have inroads already.
Of course, the people of this country are looking up to the only hope, that's the United Party, to save the situation. And so, once there is an appeal, he must go through. Remember Rebecca Adote and the Amos case in 1996. We have had a situation where someone went to Parliament on a faulty excuse. At the end of the day, in spite of the fact that she eventually spent the 4 years in Parliament, the court ruled that she didn't win the elections. And we must encourage that, so that we can rid our elections of fraud.
Okay. Let me bring in the Honourable. Honourable, because I mentioned the point about annulling all of the election on the back of the kind of monies that we had to spend to run this election, and then we have to go into it again. This is not what I anticipate the taxpayers would be expecting should happen. Why does the NDC, like the fact that the whole thing has been annulled? You said there was a travesty of justice. We were robbed of the seat.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
As always, you're so beautiful
Thank
on the sets. And good morning to my good brothers who are panelists on this very beautiful show. And good morning to all our viewers, including my constituency.
With the outcome. He said they had several things and they didn't take them for granted, but they believe the petition was frivolous. Let's bring you what happened, transpired in court.
Let me in the first place thank my supporters, thank the good people of Kpandai, and let me put it on record that I'm still their MP. Yes. I want to put it on record that I'm still their MP. Although, like the lawyer said, we were in court. And before we came to court, I can say for sure that for about a week, we knew that things were not going to be right. Our opponents, they were saying all manner of things in Kpandai. And they were too sure that this is the judgment they were going to get. But as law-abiding citizens, I want to put on record that, yes, we respect what the judge has said. We vehemently disagree with him. I know that I won the election with a difference of 3,734. That is a clear victory.
When you say that there are disturbances at the collation center, the law is clear that you either adjourn it to the next day or you can adjourn it even for a week. But you don't relocate the district or redesignate the collation center without notice to the participating candidates. And then you, when you were brought to court, decide that you are going to support one side against the other, making allegations that the petitioner was involved in busing hooligans to the place to come and destroy property and also to engage in acts which were inconsistent to the election laws. When the district election officer was put in the box, he could not even point one, even his own videos, to show that indeed the petitioner had done any of those things.
And that's what transpired at the court. That's me, Papu Samoa, who is lead petitioner on this case. And you heard from the MP, the embattled MP for that seat as well. The Honourable Ndano, we begin with you, Dr. Zato.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners and good morning, my friend, for just joining us. Thank you. That will reduce the mischief of Solomon Small. They said, okay, these are the issues that are in dispute. And that because they are in dispute, let's solve what is in dispute. Because remember, it's an election. People invest in an election. People stand in long lines, people prepare to come out and elect. So if you are going to elect and then just have a judge throw away the results like that, it may impact the way people participate. Because that means that the judge is not making the decision, not the people. My understanding of this case is that it came down, it was at the coalition center. And mostly when you go to coalition, that means that almost all the pink sheets are done. And from what they say, they are all been signed, everything is done. People have signed all the pink sheets, they have copies of the pink sheets. To few places where the total votes there was 500 votes. And I think that was what was actually the contentious issues. And then the electoral officer said, look, the skills that we can do that, we'll take it somewhere to go and do that. So it means, and everybody, again, the point I'm getting from both sides is that the pink sheet, everybody had their pink sheet, they had collated. And by the time they were going to Tamale, everybody knew. They already declared the presidential results. So what I was expecting, at least from an lawyer person, who said, okay, let's deal with the votes that are in contention. The votes that we have not agreed on. Because if you've agreed on a lot of them, why? So my question is, why did they throw away all the votes? Because about 400 of them were polluted. From a common sense perspective, it doesn't do justice to the people who line up that early morning or late night on December 7th to vote. It doesn't do them any justice because that is their will.
if the way you could have done what happened in Ablekuma by saying that, look, these were the few ones that have been done, and to just go and throw all this away, for me, it raises a serious, that is mean that this judge is taking away that decision of the electorate to select the representative away from the citizens. It means that a judge is saying that I decide that, and for me, it doesn't. Look, there are a lot of things that are happening here now, and I think that all of us must be worried. Something is beginning to happen that if you see that you are losing an election, cause chaos, cause mayhem. Let the process stop, and hope that your party wins. And then once that happens, you go and legislate, and the judges will support you. Now, that seems to be. There seems to be a calculated plan of that.
Once there are discrepancies, how do you say that's a true reflection of what the people feel?
But that's what I'm saying. If the discrepancies affected some polling stations, if they affect some polling stations, not all polling stations, that's the point. So if you say some polling, then we can say, okay, those polling stations, let's say the results there were discredited. Those polling stations, the results there are polluted. They could then say, let's remove that, and then I will understand that. But it didn't happen in all police stations.
Okay.
But as at the time they were transferring the results from Kpandai to Tamale, there were some results. So, and one of the things that most usually once you count at each police station, your agents have their pink sheets. And all the police, before they come to coalition center, so by the time you are traveling to a coalition center, you know your stand.
Okay.
So, for me, that's what I don't understand. Why all these things have to be thrown away? Good. Look, there's one thing too that these elections are not cheap. Running them is not cheap. And so then the political and the security risk and issues that they put us through is not easy. So you shouldn't let people begin to game the electoral system. Because that is a dangerous thing to do. To realize that if I'm not one by game the system, you are gaming the system when you realize that, okay, I've got all the pink sheets. So before you even come to police center, everybody has their pink sheets. And that's why some of the candidates celebrating already. Because the pink sheets are there. If I'm beginning to give the system that, okay, look, if I cause mayhem here, prevent the coalition, then there will be a re-election, other election in one place. That means you are now giving the system, and we shouldn't try to reward people for doing that. So the case is going to appeal. I wanted to go through the process and let them bet. Part of the integrity of our elections is but the fact that election results will come at the polling stations. And we should try as much as possible to let the people decide and not move that to the law courts.
Okay. Solomon, let me bring you in on this. This is a time when the EC chairperson is being asked to be axed by the president, and then all of this is coming out.
So first of all,